Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
This podcast is brought to you by Shaw Auto Burger Co. Use the code word EKKO at checkout in-store for 10% off in either the Hay Street store or the Fremantle store. Go get yourself a burger, yo.
We just got sent a few tunes by Futurebound. Some upcoming Viper releases, some dub plates. We've just listened to it in the studio. And we quite like some of them.
That's really cool.
And like we both had reactions to some of them. That kind of, I'm making a kind of screwed up face and like, oh, fuck off kind of.
You can imagine it going off in a club.
Yeah, that we had that kind of reaction. What is it about a tune that gives you that reaction? That gives you the reaction like, I can't wait to play this in a club, or I can't wait to dance to this, or I can't wait to party to this tune?
That's an interesting question, Jonathan. Sorry, that's a perplexing question as we move away from the word interesting.
Yes.
As we try. I think it's almost, well, firstly, the first thing that comes to mind is that I can imagine myself playing it and I want to be playing this song.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I can imagine me like bringing in the mix and being like, "Ooh, this one's going to hit hard." And then, so like there's that. But the thing that makes me want to put it in the mix in the first place, I suppose, is like interesting sounds, a fat mix down. So it's like it's loud and punchy and like works in all the right places.
Yeah.
And like the right kind of, I mean, we can go deeper on this as well. It's like the right kind of mixable groove. I don't know, like danceable somehow. Like your body reacts. That's what it is. Your body reacts to it. You know, you can't. I mean, you can just sit there and be still, but you kind of go like, yeah, fuck.
But you
like,
start
move
nodding
around.
your head.
Yeah, like and you're moving your body.
Okay, so like a
physical reaction.
A physical reaction. So the tune has to have quite clear rhythm.
And not confused rhythm.
Not confused rhythm. And quite clear sonics. And fat sonics. So sonically it's kind of mixed well.
Yeah, and you can do weird things with mixes. Like you don't always just have to follow the same protocols.
Yeah, of course.
But yes, I think for a drum and bass song, for any kind of electronic dance music in this genre, this wide ranging genre, I think it has to hit in a certain way. And you can imagine it hitting, if all those things are right, you can imagine it hitting hard in a club.
Yeah. If
they're wrong, you're like, yeah, something's missing. And to an untrained ear, you wouldn't know what's missing. But it's probably the engineering.
I agree with all those points. I think another thing is the surprise of the drop. So I like tunes that, even if subtly through their songwriting, they're suggestive of what's happening on the drop in the intro. When the drop happens, you kind of like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Like a good example is
it's a good surprise. It's not like what the fuck just happened.
Yeah,
it's you've been suitably,
you've been kind of incepted with the idea of the drop, and then it drops, and you're like, oh, fuck, like that's.
You've been foreplayed, you've been caressed in the right way.
And one of the songs we listened to kind of did that. Although in the intro it didn't allude that much to what the drop was going to be. But then on the drop, it hit and it kind of surprised you. I quite like that. It's quite interesting, like the science of listening and the science of reacting to, especially bass music. There's some songs that work because they just come out of the blue.
Yeah.
And then there's
like
some
sub-focuses out of the blue.
There's the songs that work because they just come from nowhere, and then there's other songs that do the same thing over and over again and then have this like release, and that's what
You're waiting for.
it's almost like a time in the build up thing. It's like if you build up with the same loop for 32 seconds and then drop 45 seconds and then drop at the 45-second mark, it's not enough time. But if you did that for 64 bars, so a minute 30, then it would kind of get to a point where you're like, I just want to hear this with the drums.
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's kind of why
It's a little bit how techno works.
techno or progressive house. Or,
I would say they use the same kind of logic as in like has to be interesting sounds, surprises and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think techno or progressive house particularly, it becomes a meditative almost, and like you get pulled into the rhythm. So it's like you're so used to this one rhythm. It's like, yeah, okay, this is what I'm dancing to. Oh, I like this. This feels good. Okay, I'm into this. Like
You get locked in.
you get locked in, but then almost at the moment you kind of like could drift. Something else just subtle changes, and you're like, oh, I love the way that new thing.
Yeah.
You're either drifting and then you come back into it, or you're fucking into it. That new thing, just a hat or something. You're like, yes,
the power of
it just adds this thing.
Offbeat 909
Yeah.
in house. Do you think it's similar to if you kind of repeat a word, it begins to sound strange? It's got something to. It's kind of
Writing a word. It's
not
writing a
Or
word.
writing a word.
Yeah.
It kind of starts to look strange. I don't mean the strange being a kind of negative response. I mean more like it's using the same part of our brain that hones in on repetition. You know, if you keep saying flower,
Flower.
flower,
Flower.
flower,
Flower.
flower,
Flower.
flower,
Flower.
flower,
Flower.
flower. Now it starts to sound like a really weird word.
And you start to hear the different parts of it. As
And you
in
hear the
like,
wah,
flower.
flower,
Wah.
wah, wah.
Yeah. And I mean, to slightly go off on a little tangent, that's probably why language is so important. So like the way you speak to yourself
Yeah.
and the things you repeat to yourself or others
Yeah.
can be like good and bad.
And you only need to repeat things. You know, how many times did we say flower then? 8?
Maybe.
Before your brain starts reacting to them, because I don't think you react to words really. You react to words and music in a kind of subconscious way.
But if you said the word, I love you,
I love you.
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 I love you.
I love you.
And if the listener was repeating that, or even just hearing
I started
that,
to feel emotional.
I started to feel emotional.
Definitely cried. This is it. This could be the thing. This is the beautiful thing to make you tear up.
But yeah, it's like that's the power of words, but also to come back to the music thing. It's the power of repetition and kind of why in so many cases people want to hear things repeated, because it's almost like you want to learn the song, learn the rhythm, learn the thing, and then be like, oh, I hope that happens again.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the structure of music with your verses and choruses.
But also especially dance music, because it's not meant to be too complicated.
No.
Because it's meant to be played in big rooms very loudly.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And there is this kind of...
where complications get lost.
Yeah, with dance music, there is this kind of hypnotic trance-like environment where large groups of people come together and focus in on the same specific frequencies and vibrations. It's very meditative.
Yeah, I wonder if we had an event where everyone just focused on like, we played and then you took turns in like a cage of some sort or an area on the stage, and while everyone was dancing, everyone just focused like positive energy at a person, or
That would be cool.
or negative energy at a person.
That'd be
Like
cool.
I would almost argue, wow, this is a wild thought just popped into my head. Imagine instead of cheering at a football game or any sort of sporting event, all the home team fans just said, whenever that team gets the ball, we're just going to be silent. And instead of yelling and stuff, we're going to yell for our team. We're just going to focus bad juju on that team. Just like stare at them and be like, I'm thinking bad thoughts.
Yeah.
It'd be quite strange to watch and see. But I'd argue that like
I think silence.
it could be powerful.
I might be completely making this up, but I do think I've seen videos on the internet of maybe teams in high school basketball or something going completely silent. Sorry, the crowd goes completely silent when the away team has the ball.
Well, basketball's a big one for that kind of thing because like there's so much involved in the so much chat. Like the commentator is literally like gets all excited for the home team and then literally like, you know, a very, you know, off the cuff remark when the away team gets
not the
like,
commentators, the MC.
The MC and like and the crowd react to the same thing. It's like
when we were at the Houston Rockets game in Houston, they were like, "Give it up for James Harden," and everyone goes crazy, and they're like, "And now the away team,
the
Gareth Jennings," and just like says their names and
super
people
flat,
come out
and no one says anything. And that's why
it's kind of awkward.
It is a bit, but think about that energy and what it does to a.
I want to go back to your idea about focusing all the positive energy to the caged person on a stage. I think that would definitely work because I think that's partly what's so intoxicating about performing.
Yeah,
like being a frontman, DJing, speaking. Everyone's looking at you, therefore focusing their energy on you, and that's why it is intoxicating to some people or overwhelming to some people because you either know how to deal with the energy and can thrive off it, or that much energy almost forces you to stay still and you don't know how to deal with it. And I think that's probably what stage fright might be.
Yeah, for sure. But I think with the positivity thing, I think it could be like really moving, especially to be up there and like. And not in the, like you're the focus of the people, but you're not people might get embarrassed. Once you got over that initial embarrassment, I think.
Have you ever watched the Tony Robbins documentary on Netflix?
No, but I really want to.
You should.
It's on my list of
because
things.
It's
I Am Not Your Guru?
I Am Not Your Guru, yeah. I think that's what it's called. It's great. And you see the power of everyone making a decision to be in a certain place. They pay a lot of money for it, so no one's going to fuck about. And everyone's kind of open to change, and everyone is willing to change. So there's 1,000 people in this auditorium, all kind of on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Everyone's hoping that they get engaged with by Tony.
Yeah, everyone's pushing the boundary of their own life.
Yeah, and like, you know, if someone's there's no one there that is afraid of audience participation. Or they might be afraid of audience participation, but they want audience participation because they want to be helped, they want to be healed. Yeah. Part of the reason why
it's the opposite of Cirque du Soleil, where don't fucking come near me with your blue face and I'm not being
exactly.
Oh, the clown is coming near me. I'm not going to look away.
But I think it's the same thing. It's like we're all agreeing. It's like this social pact. We're all agreeing that we're going to do a certain thing in this certain place.
And that it could be transformational.
And then it could be transformational. I think that's a really important part about music festivals and concerts and gigs that maybe isn't discussed enough, or if it is discussed, it's a bit poo-pooed because people just do drugs and go to music festivals, or people just get drunk and do that. But really, I think people do those things to enhance that feeling.
The togetherness, the
togetherness and the community feel.
Yeah.
They either do it to enhance or they do it so they feel comfortable in that situation. Because I'm sure if you go into a concert completely sober, would be difficult at first, but then you'd kind of get used to it.
I've done it. I went and saw The Prodigy completely sober because I was going to... What did I have? I must have had like exams or some reason I wasn't going to go to the actual festival. It was a big day out. And then my friend Luke said, "Hey man, I've got a spare ticket and someone bailed. And I said, awesome, I'll join you later because it's tempting to go the whole day, but I really can't. Like, I've got shit to do. I drove in.
Pop-in festival.
And met him at the boiler room 40 minutes before they started. And I felt something. I took no drugs, didn't even drink, just drank water. And like, I was like, this is sick. I could feel like the energy, one of the crowd, but also of the Prodigy. But I was like, yeah, okay, I'm getting swept up in this. It's not like I'm sitting back with my arms folded and like, that's kind of cool. I like allowed myself to get swept up in it, but there is definitely an energetic field involved in it that you can feel massively, maybe arguably even more when you're sober. But it's the changing of state that you get from drugs or drinking or anything kind of allows you to let go of your inhibitions a bit more, so you can like feel it a bit more, arguably.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And find the flow of whatever's going on.
And allow you to kind of ease into the flow. I think the last time I felt that, just the ease and the relaxation, was the thing that pops up to me is when we were in Berlin in
2018. 2019? 18. Yeah.
2018.
In Berlin, listening to techno and dancing.
Yeah.
And finding ourselves really at home in like the non-dark techno room. Like the techno we were listening, where is it? La something. I can't remember the name of the venue. It's like a beautiful, almost
it's like a converted apartment block,
but it kind of had a big treehouse vibe at some point as well.
No, it had like a backyard, like the bottom area was like there were some undercover bits, and then you went up, maybe the bottom floor was like darker techno, and then you went up some stairs to like the fun disco room that had all like these rooms with TVs in them and like little benches and like nooks and crannies. I think there was like 3 rooms in there.
But we were in there, and like the dude had a big old flowery shirt on, and
do you remember he went away?
He bobbed down before the drop of a song, and then he popped up. And this room was
mental.
This room was no bigger than 3 lounge rooms, 3 of the average lounge rooms.
I would even say smaller. Like we're sitting in our studio at the moment, and I want to say it was slightly bigger than the studio.
I think
so. Like 4 by 5 meters.
I reckon it was 6 meters squared.
I remember smoking a cigarette and being so happy that I could smoke a cigarette inside, and then having a blast, and just you with your sunglasses turned around and like smiling, and it was just beautiful. And that was
and complete flow as well. Like someone was like, "Do you want to go downstairs?" And you're like, "No, I want to stay here.
Yeah.
Like this is right. I'm right where I want to be.
Yeah,
with the people I wanted to be with, like Nisha and Yessa and Clara.
Yeah,
and Ben and stuff. And like, remember we even went to that other club to try and get in, and we couldn't because it was the club we were at was called Renata.
Yeah, and wasn't Ben UFO or
someone else
a house guy was playing at the other place.
Yeah, Dixon and stuff.
Yeah, on the way, which is on the way to Renata, and Nish was like, "Oh, okay, we're not going to get in here. Let's go there."
And it was such a vibe,
man. And I mean,
and we went to the lake.
And then we went to the fucking lake.
But yeah,
So that flow, obviously, like we had things that helped us
enhanced to get to that flow state,
but enhanced it, and it was the freeing nature of that environment as well. You know, like you can't just have drugs and go about your normal day and be like, this is sick.
I mean, some people would argue that's what like kind of microdosing might give you for some people,
maybe,
but not. I mean, we had the amount of things to get you out of your brain,
and into the ability to like oscillate with other people and vibrate with other people around you. But I think that's what Berlin does really,
well.
really quite well. Like
And the phone, no phones.
Yeah, the no phone thing. Like as soon as we got to the club, I think we'd gone to a club before that, and it was the same rule. Like,
and it's
put a sticker on your,
They put a sticker on the back of your phone.
on the back of your phone, and like there's no photos. And I mean, one, it's to protect people's privacy that might be doing crazy things, but it's also so everyone stays in the moment. And I actually just saw that Fabric have implemented that rule, which I think is fantastic.
I think it's great. I reckon it's better. I reckon more places are going to start to do it. It's not just a Berlin thing.
No.
It can be an anywhere thing.
Maybe it's the COVID experience has shone a light on how sacred some of these spaces are. And maybe that's like a bit more of a response. Do you remember we talked about doing a no phones party for an Ekko and Sidetrack show?
Yeah. And we got told it would be too hard.
Well, yeah, we would be like, no one would do it. No one would do it, and then you'd lose all the social media aspect.
But I think our goal was like, it was going to be $30 if you wanted to bring your phone in, but it was going to be like 20 if you didn't.
Yeah.
And you could just leave your phone in a charging thing.
So
it's not like we take your phone.
No.
It's like a festival thing. Like, you leave it behind the door, and if you want to use your phone, you go outside. The risk is that people want to hang outside, and I think you just got to make things so undeniable inside that you'd be foolish to spend your night outside.
I think that's something we could probably do at a later date.
Yeah.
And maybe like bigger people.
And the right venue.
And like the right act. Could probably do that and kind of make a bit more of a statement. But it's really good to see. And yeah, I do think that decision from Fabric is like I want to think that it's like this. We've seen that clubbing is sacred, and we have a space that was nearly taken away from us. So we need to kind of start treating this more like a temple or a church of some kind where people come and celebrate dance music.
Yeah.
So let's shut down phones. Let's make everyone be here
now.
Be here now, be in the moment.
I suppose this can segue into our latest tune. If I say it's called Connected, and one of the reasons it's called Connected is because we are all connected. And
we are all connected.
In that way.
Say it again.
We are all connected.
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 We are connected.
We are connected.
And yeah, that it's a kind of a little bit about, I suppose, celebrating that tribal, gathering of people.
Is the tribbility?
It's definitely not a word. The tribbility is at a 9.7 in this tune. Musicality, tribbility, and general energetics.
Yeah, the tribe of people that listen to music and how it makes you feel and the connectiveness you feel to the person next to you.
Yeah.
When hopefully you listen to Connected in a nightclub, you turn to the person next to you and go, fuck.
We are connected.
We are connected.
And then you just get torn apart by a sonic blast of bass sounds that we crafted.
Yeah.
It's really cool to put that one out because it's been a while sitting around in various different incarnations, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think this was a tune that has been around for about a year.
No,
maybe 2 years, and it was in a batch of songs that we wrote, probably in 2019, 2018, like a demo of, and we played a version of it in 2019.
Yeah, the Dimension
at
Live
the
show.
Dimension Live show, and in our sets when we were in Europe, and then we stopped playing it because we couldn't get the mix right.
But I also saw a reaction at our last show together.
Yeah.
At the start of 2020. I saw a reaction when we played it. Everyone was super hyped, and then it dropped, and I was like, it's like they didn't know how to dance to it or something was wrong, and I was like, it made me a bit confused as well when I played it. And I was like, I don't know what that thing is.
And so we revisited it this year, or in maybe late 2020, Maybe
No,
even like
this year, man.
we've revisited probably about 4 months ago.
I sent you a version because I listened to a version on Dropbox, and I was because it just came up, and it didn't come up. I was looking for something else, and it was there, and I was like, I wonder what this sounds like. Listen to headphones. I'm like, this is way closer than we think.
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of a vibe if I change this, this, and this. And I
Yeah.
sent it to you, and you're like, yeah, let's revisit that.
And so we went back when I got back to Australia and we were back in the studio together. We went back and kind of stripped it back to the things that we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast.
Mm.
What is not making us move when we hear this song?
And what is not serving the song?
And what is not serving the song? And so obviously there was issues with the mix, just basic issues. But one of the big things that we both realized was that the bass, the sub, the thing that vibrates when you in a club, the thing that kind of makes you move.
Feels like half the song,
Yeah.
but it's not actually half the song, but it is like this massive weight down the bottom.
Was trying to do too much
Mm.
and trying to follow the mid bass or some of the leady aspects, which are a bit more staccato.
Yeah.
And so changing that, making it more of a held sub, held bass, constant feel in the low end, instantly changed the impact of the song. And I think once we did that, everything else, the song suddenly made much more sense. I think we also took away some percussive elements that were in the top end. Like there was a shaker, there was a bit of weirdness going on. We just went to that quarter note hi-hat feel, and then we kind of made some progressions in the drums.
The whole thing locked in a bit more.
Yeah, in the middle 16, and then we wrote the last 16, and kind of it all came together after making those decisions.
Which Chris actually helped us out with a lot.
Yeah, we've been semi-sharing the studio with What So Not, and we've been showing him lots of music, and he's been showing us lots of music. And like what you do when you're in the studio with people, you
have ideas for
other songs. And yeah, he offered some sage advice and wisdom.
Yeah,
and helped us with the last 16.
And I think that's really one of the more interesting parts. And I think if we did a VIP of some sort, you might riff on that or something. I don't know, but it helped us push the song along.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, this is now making us move.
And I think it's interesting, like traditionally, if one of us had come to the other and said, hey, what about doing this? I think we would have been like, yeah, but that's a different song.
Mm.
Rather than like, well, that could be
this can work in
a different
framework.
part of this song. But yeah, I'm really glad that it came out. And if you had asked me a year ago that the next single would be Connected, I'd be like, probably not. Like it really wasn't that much on my radar.
Yeah.
Like even though we were playing it to some extent, it kind of was just like, yeah, not really there. And I'm so glad it came out because it's also a dance floor tune that's got an underlining message that is really relevant at the moment, because it is about being connected and it is about being together and that we are all one and connected. We are all connected. We're all the same thing. We're all coming from the same source. We're all the same person living lives over and over again.
Mm.
I'm really happy with how it turned out.
So am I, and I'm really happy with the reaction so far, and I can't wait to play it really loud at a bunch of people soon. Whether you're seeing us at Dimension in a few weeks.
On July 17th.
Or at any show after that. We just got announced for a run of shows in New Zealand right at the start of next year, which is really, really exciting. Can't wait to do them with 1991, Wilkinson, Fisher, Sin Howard, Stace Cadet, and KLP, which is really, really exciting. And it kind of feels like things are coming back.
It does.
And we got an announcement of a new remix coming soon. And like this reminds me, like, oh yeah, when you do things and the world wants to hear them, you can make noises about them. And it's really exciting because I think, during the time of COVID, you have forgotten a little bit about what we're doing. Oh, you can lose. We're still doing what we're doing, but you can kind of feel like a bit. What am I doing it for?
Well, I think this is where the hard work. This is the delayed gratification.
Yeah.
This is like finishing songs, writing music, doing stuff behind the scenes that you'll reap the benefits of in 4 months or something. We're starting to reap the benefits of work we did 4 months ago. And as we will reap the benefits in 4 months of the work we're doing now.
Yeah.
And maybe before there was less momentum because of the state of the world, and announcing shows or planning tours or something like that was a lot harder to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. I'm happy with the position that we're in, and I'm glad that
Same.
Connected is with the world.
I'm really excited to see what comes next as well, which brings me to my next proposition, that we finish this podcast and get on with some music, and also allow myself to go to the toilet, because I am about to shit myself. So I'm going to say this right now. I love you, buddy, and I got to go.
Jeff, thank you for the conversation. Even though you are not here to hear these words, I love you too, and I am thankful that I make music with you and that I can have these conversations. And thank you, dear listener, for listening. I'll quickly say this. We've discussed in the past, when one of us hasn't been able to do a podcast, of doing a podcast by yourself. So you would just kind of riff and talk to no one. But it would be very difficult to do. And I'm struggling right now just to end this podcast by myself and not listen to anyone. So before I start rambling on, I'm just going to end it and say, big up yourself. If you haven't gone out to listen to Connected, please do. Stream it, buy it, whatever. Dance to it nude in your room. Dance to it with your friends. Play it loudly in your car. Play it loudly in your headphones on the train. But go out, get connected, and enjoy life. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.